Do you think there's any non-negotiables? So obviously people listening, there's a lot of tennis parents, a lot of tennis players, a lot of tennis coaches that'll be listening right now. Do you think there's certain non-negotiables out there that we just can't get away from
In terms of what?
in terms of making it, in terms of becoming a tennis player? You know that you just must-haves.
Hmm.
You must have this.
Acceptance of good and bad times, injuries. It's all part of the process. And if you can weather the storm of those things and give, effort and unconditionally, believe in yourself, that's the number one thing, in my opinion, which, everyone can control, but is the biggest indicator of, having the largest chance to be successful. I think that's in every area of life is, a self-belief and a drive and an acceptance that stuff might go wrong. At the beginning of my journey, I'll take it from personal
Hmm.
experience. I had a very, very bad start to the journey. I started pretty strong. I qualified in my first ever 25K. I lost in 3 sets for my first ATP point in my first ever futures tournament. And then from there, it went downhill. I lost 13 first round qualifying matches in a row. I then had an elbow surgery, which put me out for about 6 months. And that was a very dark time for me. If I'm honest, it was something I don't speak about too much, but a lot of moments where I've gone and cried after losing the matches, feeling of not being good enough, not being it's not worth it. It's why am I doing this? Why am I subjecting myself to putting myself out there on social media and I keep losing and losing and this is like awful and horrible and that's what I signed myself up for. And one of the proudest things that I take away from the journey beyond actually my improvements and stuff like that is that I was able to not give up, not bowing into that.
Yeah.
It's very easy to say, "Oh, screw this. I'm not gonna carry this on. This is not
And
worth it."
how did you get Felix? Because that resonates with me, and I think it resonates with a lot of tennis players, right? That kind of helplessness.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is it? The doubts, the demons, it takes us. We've all been there. Anyone that's played tennis to a reasonable level, we've all been in those dark places, and some people more than others. But how do you get out? How were you able to get out of that dark hole and be able to start turning things around?
I think this sounds a bit silly, but number one, like a delusional dream, a kind of overarching sense that, you know, this can't be how it
Ooh,
ends. For me, this cannot be how it ends. I believe I have so much more to give. Um,
yeah.
a belief that, from that first tournament that I played, where I was lost in 3 sets to a guy who was 500 in the world, I had physically seen this is what I can do. I can be this good. And, it might have only been for one match, or it might have only been for an hour and a half. But, that instilled a massive belief in myself to really, again, like I said, when I play against Mazzetti, there's this belief that, if I keep working and I keep pushing forward, that I'm going to go up. And there might be dips or massive bumps and rocky moments in the journey, but I think that for me, part of it was, just taking a risk and also to myself thinking, like there aren't many other options which I like. If I go to a US university wasn't an option anymore. UK university was, you know, it's difficult, let's just say, to go to a UK university and really become a high level pro. There's not many people that can do it. I'm not saying it's not possible, but most of the people that decide to go down that route, I don't see being as successful as the US college route or going straight to pro, just by the data. And then the other thing I'd say is that I kind of felt like, what's the other option here? So I just doubled down. I just went, look, I'm gonna, in this period where I can't exercise, I'm gonna do more YouTube. I'm gonna, show more about my journey, create really cool content. This is gonna be the way that I pay for my journey. Well, let's really, make it work and make it
Ooh.
happen and show that and show these bad moments and be vulnerable because I was and I wasn't necessarily happy with it. But the one thing as well is the YouTube side of things and the content creation is something that I enjoy unconditionally. Whether it's bad or good, I enjoy creating content, creating cool ideas and innovative content, which there's a lot more of that to come in 2025. I think diversification is a big thing that beginning to try and reach larger audiences and not just the committed tennis community. And I think that at the end of the day, the accumulation of those things allowed me to kind of be where I am today.
And I think there's a couple of things actually for me. Is it it goes to show the importance of diversifying what we do in life a little bit, and I think that was a big lesson that not all of us, but most of us maybe learnt in COVID,
Yeah.
and certainly myself as a director of a tennis academy. Obviously, COVID came and hit us from all angles, but then it was like, well, hold on a minute, this is what I do, and this is all that I do, and it's like, how do I now proceed? And it certainly kind of inspired me actually that time to. So now I'm a tour coach with some top players in the world. I have my academy. I have my podcast. There's different elements, and it's like if one goes down, and in your instance as a tennis player, you're injured. Okay, well now you can develop the other area, and I just don't think enough people are doing that, and I don't think enough people are looking. And what I hope they take from this conversation, and I certainly am, and take from your YouTube videos as well, is there's more to life, and there's the tennis players world. There's a lot more time than we have. It's a privileged position to be in, to have this time to be able to develop certain diversifications in your world, and in your instance making some money, doing something that you're passionate about, developing life after tennis. Like, you're only going to play tennis until a certain age, so continuing to grow that and grow your networks, and in your instance, an audience. And the beauty of that for me is it also means you can deal with losing a bit better as well, because the perspective and the outlook is a little bit different. And just to go back to what you were saying earlier, one of the things I say to players all the time is you're not allowed to stop in a bad moment. Always, if you're going to stop playing, stop in a good moment.
Yeah.
When you're in a position where you're making a rational decision, you're not just hiding from the current emotion that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I think Felix, there's lots of great advice.